Before she left us to go on vacation, Alex Wagner sat down with Last Word host Lawrence O'Donnell to discuss his effort to bring a much-needed item to children in Malawi. Here is that interview.
Every day, millions of children in Africa face the prospect of an education. Without basic classroom resources like desks or chairs, they're often forced to read and write while sitting on the floor. Beginning in 2010, our own MSNBC anchor Lawrence O'Donnell teamed up with UNICEF to launch the K.I.N.D Fund. That stands for Kids in Need of Desks, and it is a program that addresses this very problem in Malawi. Since then, the program has raised over $8 million and has distributed over 108,000 desks, with another 20,000 currently in production. Today, 3 out of 5 students in Malawi are without a desk or a chair. It's still a shockingly high number, but that is down from 4 out of 5 students without a desk or a chair just 5 years ago. And that is all thanks to the many generous donations to the K.I.N.D program. Joining me now is host of MSNBC's The Last Word, the great, wonderful, generous Lawrence O'Donnell.
Thanks,
It's good to see you, Lawrence.
This is all thanks to the MSNBC audience. There is no other vehicle we have for trying to raise money for the K.I.N.D Fund. It's just when I talk about it on my show, when you talk about it. And so it's really, without this network, there'd be nothing.
How did you tell us, for those that don't know, how did you come to be involved in the K.I.N.D program?
You know, it was a sort of accidental thing. A friend of mine had just returned from Africa, and she runs a charter school in Boston, in my old neighborhood, and I was helping her out with that school, and she said when she toured African schools, in Malawi in particular, she asked all the teachers, you know, what do you need? And the number one answer every time was chairs.
Yeah.
They just said chairs because they actually couldn't imagine chairs and desks. The deprivation is so much. They just wanted to get kids off the floor. And by the way, the teachers would like to have a chair themselves. They stand for 7 hours a day in these classrooms with no chairs at all. And so, you know, the notion of chairs and desks, well, that would just be too lavish.
Right.
You know, so there was really just that one word, chairs. That's all they said. And I found myself, when I heard this, I just found myself saying, well, we could get them chairs, right? You know, and I'd never undertaken anything like this myself at all, and so I had a week coming up that summer where I could just do anything, and I decided I'm going to go over there, I'm going to figure this out. And by the time I went there, with the help of Dana Haller, the executive producer of this
the great
show,
Dana Haller,
who guided me on my first trip there, kind of remote controlled me from here in New York, she did all the research, and I kind of thought when I was on my way there, literally on the plane, that what I'm going to come back with is nothing more than the explanation of why there are no desks and chairs in these classrooms and why there never will be, because we couldn't figure it out until literally one day on the street in the capital city of Malawi. I found this hardware store with the guidance of UNICEF, and in the back room of that hardware store there were some people who knew how to make desks and chairs.
Wow.
And we had them make 30 of them that week that we delivered to one classroom, so we could actually take that picture of transforming one classroom. And when I came back, I told that story in early December. It was just the timing of it. I didn't mean for it to coincide with Christmas, but I told that story and showed that picture of transforming the one classroom. And the generosity just poured out from the MSNBC audience.
I mean, and you have raised millions of dollars for this program.
You know, I would have been so thrilled in that first year. I never really thought of a number, but if it was like, hey, we raised $40,000 or something, I would have just been, that's amazing.
Right.
You know, because the first classroom we did was literally cash out of my pocket. You know,
Right.
Anything more than that would be fantastic.
And Lawrence, it's important to mention the desks are made over in Malawi.
That was really important to me.
And this has grown too, right?
Yeah.
There's a scholarship component, I think?
Building them in Malawi is really important. We could have gone to some school supply warehouse in New Jersey and shipped them over. But this is, first of all, the first dollar we spend in Malawi is a jobs program.
Right.
We are hiring carpenters and welders, you know, to do this, and now, you know, hundreds of them in more than 4 different factories now.
Wow.
That did not exist exist. I mean, some of these factories didn't exist in any form prior to this program. So those workers can all feed their kids, and those workers can pay some of the high school tuition fees for some of their kids, because high school is not free in their public school system, which is why we created the Girls Scholarship Program, because within that culture, it is much more likely that if you have a son, the son will get whatever money you have to pay for going to high school, and the girls won't. And so you have a 7% completion rate of high school for girls in Malawi, and they definitely need the extra financial backing to be able to go. And so we started that a couple of years ago. We've now raised over $1 million for the girls' tuition fees, which is fantastic, because you need to be able to say to a girl, yes, we have the money to take you all the way through every one of these years. We're not just going to get you through the first year. We'll be here for the second, third year. We'll get you all the way. And you know, there's nothing more inspiring than talking to these girls who I know when I'm talking to them, they're in this school because of the money that this audience has given them, and they don't know that. They know that someone came up with the scholarship money, but they don't know where it came from necessarily. And we kind of talk a little bit about where it came from, and you know, they talk about their ambitions and what they want to be, and it's, you know, 90% of them will say teacher or nurse, because those are actually the only educated professions that they've ever seen a woman in, or really almost any person. In some of these villages, the only professional person they've ever seen is a teacher, because they don't wander outside of that village, and they may have never seen a nurse in that village. You have to go to the bigger towns to actually see a nurse and have any interaction with them.
It is, you're literally changing a society.
Could go on and on.
And we want to have you back on again over and over again. You're changing society literally one chair, one desk at a time.
It's a very,
really awesome.
Look, it's a humble ambition, which is the ambition of it is simply to make that kid physically more comfortable during those 6 hours.
At critical hours,
if it does more than that, which in an educational setting it can, then that's fantastic. You know.
The secret sort of story in all of this is that Lawrence O'Donnell has a heart of gold, which everybody knows, but is made very, very evident.
You're the only one who doubts it.
No! I want everyone to share, to bask in the warm glow of your golden heart. MSNBC's Lawrence O'Donnell. Thank you, Lawrence.
Thank you, Alex,
for everything
very
you're
much.
doing.
Thank you.
For more on how to donate, go to lastworddesks.msnbc.com.
We also want to mention a cause closer to home and one near and dear to this show, the Owsley County Outreach Food Backpack Program. Alex recently visited Owsley County, Kentucky, one of the poorest in the nation, where over half of the children live in poverty and are dependent on free school meals to survive. Thanks to our generous MSNBC viewers, we've raised over $20,000 for the program. To find out more, or if you would like to donate, please visit msnbc.com/backpack.